कुंज बिहारी जय राधा। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन कंजन यामुना यामुना तिरवन हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Krishna कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 गिरिधारी गांधर्वे का गिरिधारी गांधर्वे का गिरिधारी गौरा हरे जय निताय गौर सुंदर जय निताय गौर सुंदर निताय गौर सुंदर जय निताय गौर सुंदर प्रभुपाद जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद युग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ कीज ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम कीज जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatya Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Krishna Janmashtami, Shri Krishna Janmashtami meditation series. We are discussing lessons from Krishna Lila. In the past few discussions, we have, just a minute. So in the past few discussions, we saw how Vasudev used all his capacity to save the interests of Krishna. We also learned from Devaki how she used her nature as a Kshatriya woman to protect the interests of the devotees of Krishna. And then we also saw how Nand Maharaj, on the day of Nandotsav, when bliss personified had appeared in Gokul, left Gokul for the interest of Krishna to meet demon personified, that is Kamsa. And although Vasudev, the previous night, before he had actually seen Krishna, embraced Krishna, carried Krishna, and all he could do was think of Krishna and talk of Krishna, but still when he came to meet Nand Maharaj, he was not directly speaking about Krishna. We also saw how what is the consciousness of a devotee, especially in those times when the intelligence is bewildered. The mud-eating pastime of Krishna, when Mother Yashoda was bewildered. We derived a lesson from there that until unless your worshipable deity is inconceivable, you cannot render humble devotional service. We also saw how Trinavat, when he tried to lift Krishna and take him somewhere, he was killed. And then the Brajvasis, out of their deep love for Krishna, could not still think that Krishna is God, but they were thinking that because of some pious activities, Krishna is saved. So in that purport of Srila Prabhupada, we derived how to be happy. Prabhupada said that one has to execute pious activities, one has to do some austerities, and one has to serve the society of devotees. And by doing these three things, one can become happy. We also saw that Putana pastime, in which we understood how it is important to start one relationship with Krishna, whether it is perfect or imperfect, complete or incomplete. Anybody who has started a relationship with Krishna will definitely benefit in the long run. So today, we'll try to learn something from the 14th chapter of the Krishna Lila, Vrindavan pastimes, that is the Brahma's prayers of Lord Brahma. I would like to title this class as Aspiration of a Humble Heart. There are so many lessons. Sorry? Yeah. So there are so many lessons which we can derive from the prayers of Lord Brahma. Basically, in this chapter, Lord Brahma has said 40 verses which talk a lot about philosophy. It establishes the position of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It talks about the sweetness of Krishna, the superiority of the form of Krishna, how it is the source of all other Vishnu forms. It also starts talking about this chapter talks about the greatness of the devotees of Krishna, especially the Vrajvasis. And this chapter teaches us how to apologize for our mistakes. By reading the prayers of Brahma, one can also safely conclude when to apologize and when not to. And then, what is the result of making an apology? What is the treatment which Krishna gives when non-devotees make mistake and when devotees make mistake? All that we can learn from this prayer, this chapter. But before I begin discussing this chapter, there are 40 verses in this chapter. Needless to say, I will not be able to cover all of them. But as much as we can relish in the next few minutes, I will try my best. But before doing that, I would like to take shelter of the Acharyas, the spiritual masters, even Lord Brahma himself, who is the founder Acharya of our parampara, by chanting the pranam mantras. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamhyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kant Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So, Aghasur has been killed, and Parikshit Maharaj asks Shukdev Goswami a question in the 13th chapter. That although Aghasur, Shukdev Goswami says that Aghasur was killed, but the pastime of Aghasur being killed was told by the cowherd boys to their family members after 1 year. So immediately Parikshit Maharaj, being a very, very curious listener, he asked that why did the cowherd boys wait for 1 year to tell the cowherd this pastime of Aghasur? The cowherd boys, they had implicit faith in Krishna. Actually, I had a desire to speak about Aghasur pastime today, but due to lack of time I couldn't prepare. I have been thinking about Aghasur from last 2 days. How these demons would come almost on a daily basis, and these cowherd boys, they would see that some time ago Krishna went into the mouth of Bakasur and then he came out. Now we are going into the mouth of Aghasur. Why will Krishna not be able to bring us out? So they had implicit faith in Krishna. But Krishna had so much love for them. Krishna, being Paramatma, he knew that this structure which is looking like a hillock is not a hill but a snake who has come to kill me. Krishna didn't mind himself coming in danger, but when he saw his friends entering the mouth of that danger, out of love and affection, pure love and affection for his devotees who were acting like his friends, for some time Krishna forgot himself that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all he felt or all he relished at that time was the rasa of fear, that what will happen to my friends. Just like Balram, when he was sitting on the head of, what was that demon? His name? The demon whom Balram had killed, I just forget the name. Not Dhenuka, one more demon was there. He put him just one shot on the head and he died. Okay, I just forget the name. So when Balram was sitting on the shoulder of that demon, he was thinking that this demon is very big and anytime he can go to Vrindavan and he can kill Krishna. And thinking about the safety of Krishna, Balram was coming in anxiety. And in that anxiety, he forgot that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So for some time, the Krishna book says, and even the Bhagavatam says, that although Balram was being carried by that demon on the shoulder, he was getting afraid. Not afraid for himself, but for the safety of Krishna. And then Krishna being Paramatma, he made Balram remind that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why are you afraid like this? Then Balram just hit him one shot and killed him. Similarly, here also Krishna, when he saw the devotees going into the mouth of Aghasur, for a moment Krishna also became very bewildered. But then immediately he took charge of the situation and killed Aghasur. And when the demigods, when Aghasur was killed, Aghasur was a very ferocious demon. Only somebody who could defy the laws of nature could kill Aghasur. So all the demigods were clapping and rejoicing. So Brahma also wanted to see. And when he saw, by the time Brahma came to see, the lunch pastimes had started. And the way Krishna was having lunch with his cowherd boys, it was very, very strange for Brahma. Brahma would think that being an honest, sincere servant of the Lord, it was his duty to know everything or be fully update about all the pastimes and all the incarnations of the Lord. But Brahma could not understand the pastime of lunch which he saw, which was against, strictly speaking, the Vedic Shuchi Muchi process. So Brahma got bewildered and he tried to steal all the cowherd boys, calves, kept them away in Brahmalok for 1 year. And then Krishna expanded himself, became the calves for each cow, became the son for each mother. Elsewhere it is mentioned that that was the year when all the young girls in Vrindavan, they got married to the various cowherd boys. So actually Krishna only married everybody in the form of various cowherd boys. And then Brahma wanted to see, after one moment, he wanted to see what's happening, how is Krishna handling this. That one moment was equal to 1 year on planet Earth, and he came and he saw that everything is running absolutely fine. Here was a magic, or here was a Shakti which was beyond his conception also. The Guna avatars, the Brahma and Shiva especially, they have such kind of a cognizance of the entire universe that practically anything which is happening in the universe is known to them. But here something was happening which was beyond the knowledge of Brahma also. So he became mystified. He tried to put a mystic spell on Krishna, but he himself became mystified. And then Krishna humbled him by showing that how all these calves and cows and friends were all Vishnu Murtis. The Krishna book describes how these Vishnu Murtis were all different from each other, carrying different paraphernalia, and each Vishnu Murti was surrounded by all hosts of demigods like Shiva, Brahma, Narada, Kumaras, and all of them were being glorified differently in different Uttama Shloka verses, and then all of them merged into the body of Krishna. And then seeing all this, Brahma started offering some prayers. So the first verse of this chapter, 14th chapter says, "My dear Lord, you are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. O son of the king of cowherds, your transcendental body is dark blue like a new cloud. Your garment is brilliant like lightning, and the beauty of your face is enhanced by your gunja earrings and the peacock feather on your head. Wearing garlands of various flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, buffalo horn, and a flute, you stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hand. So, Brahma could have started glorifying Krishna in any other way, but he chose to start glorifying Krishna from the beautiful form of Krishna. He could have directly said, "I'm sorry, sir, please forgive me. I made a serious mistake." But then he started to glorify Krishna, keeping aside the mistake which he has done for some time. So this is called humility. Humility means to think more of the Lord and less of one's own self. Sometimes we are so much obsessed by our own shortcomings and our own disqualifications that we sometimes fail to think that life is meant to rejoice the glory of the Lord. Life is meant for spending more time in appreciating the name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Lord. Of course, a sincere sadhaka should condemn himself or herself for the shortcomings which they have in bhakti, but that should not also become the main occupation. The main occupation should be Hari Katha, Hari Kirtan. So Brahmaji sets an example here by glorifying the Supreme Lord first. Even when we see the various Vyas Puja offerings of Srila Prabhupada, or when we see the various Vyas Puja offerings of various spiritual masters, we see that first they are glorified. Then some conversation happens, or some report submission happens, or some information exchange happens, and then towards the end they beg for forgiveness, and then they again glorify, and then they close. That's the standard format for every time when we approach. Even when we read the Advent of Lord Krishna, prayers offered by the demigods, it starts with appreciation. Even when Indra comes after being chastised by Lord Krishna, when he lifted the Govardhan, he starts by appreciation. So we have to start on a positive note, everything. That is the simple lesson which we can derive from here. Also in this verse, Brahmaji has clearly signified that Krishna's simple form, holding rice and holding some morsel of food in his hand, is the source of all beauty. Very famous pastime in this form, Lord Brahma, which Lord Brahma is describing, Lord Krishna is not even wearing a pair of slippers. There's this very famous pastime how Mother Yashoda wanted to give a pair of slippers to Krishna, but Krishna said that I have 9 lakh cows, and each of the cows should be given slippers. So basically we need 18 lakh pairs of slippers, or 36 lakh slippers. So until then I will not wear. So that is the mood of Krishna here for his cows. And this is the most beautiful form. Point to be noted that just few moments ago, Brahma has seen the form of the 400 form of Narayan. And he has seen many different variegated forms of Narayan in front of him. And then now he is seeing the form of Krishna, but he chooses to remember and glorify the two-handed form of Krishna. So therefore, another lesson which we derive from here is that, just like Srila Prabhupada has ordered all of us, that no matter where we are, no matter what we do, no matter whom we are worshipping, our meditation, no matter which incarnation of Krishna we are worshipping, our meditation should always be on the two-handed form of the Lord. Even if we are worshipping, let's say it's Vaman Dwadashi or something else, whatever the situation may be. But we should always look at all the incarnations of the Lord as a form of Krishna. His Grace Pankajangiri Prabhu gave a very nice clarity that we being Gaudiya Vaishnavas, how and why should we worship Lord Narasimhadev? So His Grace Pankajangiri Prabhu told that we are worshippers of Radha and Krishna, and sometimes we face so many obstacles in the path of Radha, in the path of worshipping Radha and Krishna. So we take shelter of Narasimhadev, which is another form of Krishna, so that he may remove the obstacles, so that we may actually take shelter of the Yugal Kishore, Radha and Krishna. My spiritual master in another lecture, he said that if you stand in front of Radha Madhav and you say that, okay, I have a pain in my shoulders, or I have this problem in my temple, Radha and Krishna are busy in their pastimes. We are only meant to give them pleasure. But of course, in order to practice your devotional service, you need some mercy, so that you need some removal of obstacles, so that you can serve Radha Krishna nicely. So for those things, Krishna has officiated a form of his, that is Narsimhadev. So you go to Narsimhadev and you say that I have a pain, I have a problem, I cannot chant, I cannot read Prabhupada books. So Narsimhadev will help you. But when you go in front of Radha Krishna, you should simply try to serve them. That is the instruction which he gave in a lecture. So Brahmaji, in this first verse only, he is making it very clear that the form of Lord Krishna is more beautiful than Narayan. The form of Lord Krishna is the source of all beauty. It is the last word in beauty. This form of Lord Krishna is the supreme, and that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And also, this Vrindavan, later on in the prayers we will see Lord Brahma highlights that Vrindavan is more important than all the other holy places, than all the other spiritual abodes. In the first verse of this chapter only, Brahma has tried to glorify Krishna, and in the second verse he has tried to humbly submit to Krishna. So the lesson which we can derive here is, however powerful one may be, if one does not humbly submit to Krishna, then he has to be bewildered by Maya. Even if someone is as great as Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or Lord whoever, Narad Muni or whatever. If one does not humbly submit to Krishna, then he has to be bewildered by Maya. Very famous verse, verse number 3, Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiya vartam sthane sthita shrutigatam tanuvan manobhir ye prayaso jita jito api asitais trilokyam. Brahmaji is saying that Krishna cannot be understood and approached by personal endeavors or mental speculation. The translation of this verse says, those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge and with their body, word and minds offer all respects to the descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally or by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. Another very beautiful lesson which we learn from here. In the purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes that the material scientist may be in some time in future may be able to calculate all the sand particles which are there in this universe. But still they cannot count the number of qualities which Krishna has. That was a very strong statement which I felt. So this statement itself can help us realize that one cannot even speculate how many sand particles are there. At least as a infinitesimal Jivatma, I cannot even begin to think how many dust particles are there in the temple hall right now. But Prabhupada has gone to the extent to say that even if somebody is able to count all the sand particles, that means that is beyond our mental speculation. Still one cannot count all the qualities, name, form, pastimes of Krishna. So therefore, by mental speculation and by personal endeavor, neither one can approach Krishna, nor one can understand Krishna. Only bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only by the process of devotional service, Krishna will himself reveal to us when he feels like doing so. We cannot force Krishna to do anything to us. Another very beautiful lesson which we can derive from this verse itself is as follows. Brahmaji is saying, throw away the process of speculative knowledge and with their body, words and mind offer all respects to the descriptions of your personalities and activities. Someone may say, I have had no experience of Krishna in my life till now. Someone may say, I have never seen Krishna till now. Oh, Prabhupada could do it because he has seen Krishna. But I have had no experience of Krishna. I have never seen Krishna. How can I offer my mind, body, and words? How can I become a true Sharanagati? The Brahmaji is saying, don't wait for all that to happen. If you hear descriptions of Krishna, try to submit to that. Don't wait to get an experience of Krishna. With your body, words, and mind, offer all respects to the descriptions of Krishna. And then, don't think that simply by hearing the descriptions of Krishna, very soon in the next 2 or 3 days, some miracle will happen and then you will become a Paramahamsa. No. Just continue hearing those descriptions and dedicate your life to these narrations. Which are vibrated by your pure devotees. And in this way, one day you will be able to get an experience of Krishna. One day you will be able to get the association of Krishna. This is something very hope-giving for me at least. Many times I often question myself that I have had no experience of Krishna till now. How will I continue my Krishna consciousness? But then these narrations of Krishna, even if I had no experience of Krishna, but if I somehow try to dedicate my life to these narrations of Krishna, which are vibrated by acharyas like Srila Prabhupada in their books and their sincere followers, then one day there is some hope that I'll be able to get some experience of Krishna. So I should not be over ambitious in my spiritual life also. I find some descriptions of the name, form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna, and the kind of offenses which I have done and the kind of behavior which I had shown in the past and the audacity which I had with which I only broke off this relationship with Krishna, and the bridge which was there between me and him, I burnt it from my own hands. So for me, all I get is narrations of Krishna in this life, and I should be happy and I should try to dedicate my mind, body and words to these narrations of Krishna, hoping against hope that someday I will get mercy of Krishna. In this way I should try to remain humble and understand that I cannot understand Krishna by my own personal endeavors, by my own mental speculation. I can only understand Krishna by the mercy of devotees when Krishna himself wants him to understand, to be understood. Later on in the verse number 8, another very famous verse. This verse is called as the attitude of suffering. Tatte nukampam susamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapurbhis vidadhan namaste jive tayo mukti pade sadaya bhakam. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Directly Brahmaji is telling the devotee should not be overconfident about his own abilities and about his own powers. They should not be devastated when something inconceivable or beyond their understanding happens in life. Rather, in all situations, they should be enthusiastic to take shelter of Krishna. Prabhupada explains very nicely in this purport that a sick child may not understand why the father is giving sometimes bitter medicine, sometimes sweet medicine. The child may always want a sweet medicine, but the father may have to administer the bitter medicine, which is beyond the understanding of the child. But then the child should understand that father is my best well-wisher, and even if he doesn't like it, he should continue the process of taking the medicine. Just like another analogy which Prabhupada gives in this purport, just like simply by being alive, the son becomes the rightful heir of his father. Similarly, simply by continuing to practice devotional service, as said in the previous word, by offering our mind, body and words, and patiently going through the reactions of, actually Prabhupada doesn't call it as reactions in the purport. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna is personally intervening and offering treatments to remove the last vestiges of enjoyer mentality from our heart. So it's Krishna's personal dealing with us, where he is seeing that, okay, this person has surrendered to me, but still there is some tinge of lust, anger, and greed. So let me just make him go through a particular treatment so that he gets rid of it. In this way, technically speaking, the devotee doesn't go through any karmic reaction, because the moment he surrenders, all karmic reactions get over. It's Krishna's personal intervention in their life. The devotees don't go through the laws of, they are not they are not suffering under the laws of nature. They are seemingly enjoying or seemingly suffering by the personal arbitration and the personal intervention of Krishna. But the devotee should be very humble to think that whatever is happening in my life, it's my bad karma or it's my bad doing, and whatever good is happening, it is the mercy of spiritual master, it is the mercy of Lord Krishna. So in this way, one should continue offering obeisances with heart, word and body, and patiently go through the suffering which is coming, thinking that it is a result of his past misdeeds. The Nag Patnis also, they pray like this. They say to the Lord, my dear Lord, your punishment is also a reward and your reward is also a reward. We don't know what is best for us. So whatever you think, what is good for us, you please give us. So in this way, Nag Patnis also say in the chapter in which Kaliya was chastised by Krishna. And in all circumstances, a devotee should go to Krishna for getting protection. One should go to nobody else for getting protection. This is the message or the lesson which we derive from this verse. In the next verse, Brahma is explaining the insignificance of a Jivatma in front of the Lord. Brahma is, I think in the first canto it is mentioned that Brahma has read the Vedic, not the first canto, second canto. He has read the Vedic literature, entire Vedic literature 3 times, to come to the conclusion that devotional service is the summum bonum of all Vedic instructions. Technically speaking, he is the most knowledge person, the most Shastric, most expert person. And one who knows the Vedas, he is called as an Aryan, and nobody knows the Vedas better than Lord Brahma. So he can be called as the most civilized person in this universe. But in this verse he says, my dear Lord, just see my uncivilized impudence. To test your power, I tried to extend my illusory potency to cover you, the unlimited primeval supersoul, who bewilder even the masters of illusion. What am I compared to you? I am just like a small spark in the presence of a great forest fire. So Brahma is actually saying this verse to make the Jivatma understand. All the Jivatmas who are thinking I am God should take lesson from Brahma here. In the purport, very nicely, a sequence has been drawn, that how Mahavishnu is lying in the causal ocean, and from the pores of his body, millions and billions of universes are getting created. How Mahavishnu is expanding himself and entering each universe, filling half the universe with the sweat of his body, called as the Garbhodak ocean, and lying in that Garbhodak ocean, being called as the Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And in one of those universes, where Garbhodakshay Vishnu has entered, in one of those universes, one of the Brahmas comes from the lotus navel of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And then this Brahma is thinking that he is very powerful, so much so powerful that he can try to put to test the source of the source of the source of the source of Mahavishnu. So this analogy or this sequence has been highlighted in the purport. It makes one feel very small when you read it. Who am I? Where do I stand? How can I say, how can someone, people don't even understand the character of Krishna, the personality of the Krishna, but still they have the audacity to criticize Krishna. There are statements like, if God would have been there, why so many people died in Corona? If God would have been there, why was my son born blind? If God would have been there, why bad things happen to good people? So Brahmaji is making everybody understand that we are nothing but, our small infinitesimal intelligence cannot understand or challenge the supreme justice and the supreme intelligence of the personality of Godhead. This point is very, very clearly highlighted in this verse. And then after speaking this much, after praising Krishna, after expressing that you cannot be understood by personal endeavors, after giving an instruction to the whole world that what should be the attitude of suffering, and after expressing one's own insignificance in front of the glory of the Supreme Lord, Brahmaji, in the 13th verse of the chapter, he starts to formally apologize. And how does he apologize? He says, O Lord Adhokshaja, does a mother take offense when the child within the womb kicks with his legs? And is there anything in the existence, whether designated by various philosophers as real or as unreal, that is actually outside your abdomen? So while apologizing also, one should be intelligent. So Brahmaji is very nicely apologizing. My dear Lord, my offense may be very severe. I tried to take away your friends from you. But kindly consider that I am your dependent. I am your part and parcel. Everything is there in your womb, and I am inside that womb. And if I do some mischief, that mischief should be compared to like a small child within the womb of a mother kicking. So, we all make mistakes in spiritual life. Nobody is free of mistakes. So, when we go to apologize, we should know how to ask for mercy. We should make them feel, we should make our superiors, seniors, or even the Supreme Lord, we should express our relationship with them immediately. That you are my such and such, I am your such and such. Kindly be merciful to me. This relationship always works. Until unless we have a relationship with Krishna, we cannot appreciate the name, form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna. And until unless we express our relationship with Krishna, our love cannot be expressed only. So love can be expressed, love should be expressed, and love has to be expressed via the medium of a relationship with Krishna. That sambandha should be there, otherwise everything becomes dry. So whether it is appreciation or whether it is proposals, as we see when the earth becomes a cow and goes to talk to the Lord, there also she first expresses a relationship and then puts a proposal. Similarly here also first Lord Brahma expresses a relationship and then he starts apologizing. And then the apology is really sincere. It's not a half-hearted apology. Half-hearted apology leads to another offense. For example, take the example of Indra. In the Govardhan pastime, he has apologized to Lord Krishna. But later on again we see that when Krishna goes with, I think, Satyabhama in the heavenly planetary system, Swarglok, to lift the Parijata Vriksh. At that time, Indra again commits the offense by not allowing, in the prayers some few years ago, he has expressed that, my dear Lord, you are the Supreme, you are the proprietor of everything, you are the real Indra, I am not the Indra, all that things he has said. But now, when Lord Krishna is taking away the Parijata Vriksh, again he is committing the offense. That means his apology was not sincere, his heart was not fully cleansed due to the apology which he did, and he did not receive the full mercy of Krishna also. But Brahma's apology is sincere. But then, as Brahmaji is apologizing, for the next 5-6 verses, we see Brahmaji is apologizing. But Krishna is not nodding his head also, not looking at Brahma also. He is just silent. So Lord Brahma is confused now, what to do. Somehow appreciation of the form of the Lord is not working. Somehow apologies are not working. Somehow sincerity is not working. So now I have to try something which pleases the Lord in a foolproof way. So therefore, he starts appreciating the devotees of the Lord now. Now the rest of the chapter is the appreciation of the Vrajvasis and the appreciation of the devotees of the Lord. So therefore, in the 29th verse, he makes a statement which is a very strong statement. He says, "My dear Lord, if one is favored even by a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years." So Brahma ji is now talking about mercy aspect. And in the purport, it is mentioned that the Lord can be attained and understood only by the mercy of his devotees. So therefore, in the next verse, immediately Brahmaji says, "My dear Lord, I therefore pray to be so fortunate that in this life, as Lord Brahma, or in another life, wherever I take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. I pray that wherever I may be, even among the animal species, I can engage in the devotional service of your lotus feet." So this 10.14.30, in my humble submission, is the theme verse of all the prayers of Lord Brahma in this chapter. This is the humble aspiration of his heart, which has now come out as in the form of a prayer. And this is a gift from Krishna. We see in the case of Dhruv Maharaj's pastime. He wanted to offer prayers, but he was not able to offer prayers. And when he was blessed by Krishna, by the touch of Krishna through his conch shell, then he was able to offer nice prayers to Krishna. So similarly, Lord Brahma, certainly, now that he is offering prayers, and the few moments ago when he had kidnapped the calves and the boyfriends of Lord Krishna, we see a clear difference in the conscience and the consciousness of Lord Brahma. It is the mercy of Lord Krishna that he did this pastime of expanding himself. It is the mercy of Krishna that he became merciful on Brahma and pulled the curtain of Yogamaya and displayed his opulence. It is the mercy of Krishna that at the right time he pulled back the curtain again, because Brahma was swooning to death, to a death-like state after seeing the inconceivable opulence of Krishna. And it is the mercy of Krishna that he is allowing Lord Brahma to pray to him, and he is inspiring him to offer such nice prayers. And it is the gift of Krishna, mercy of Krishna, that Brahma has been able to develop such a pure devotional desire, which the greatest demigods of the universe cannot have. What is that desire? I therefore pray to be so fortunate that in this life as Lord Brahma, or in another life, wherever I may take my birth, in whichever species, I want to be counted as one of your devotees. And I want to engage in the devotional service of your lotus feet. So if Brahmaji has come to this kind of a humble aspiration of the heart, that is a gift of Krishna. If this pastime wouldn't have happened, then probably, who knows whether Brahma would have developed such desires or not. And then he wants to secure the mercy of the Lord. Point to be noted that without the mercy of a devotee, even Lord Brahma cannot become a devotee. Lord Brahma has also got the mercy of the Lord, mercy of the devotees. That's why he is aspiring, that I want to be counted as one of your devotees. So therefore he starts glorifying the devotees. O Almighty Lord, how greatly fortunate are the cows and the ladies of Vrindavan, the nectar of whose breast milk you have happily drunk to your full satisfaction, taking the form of their calves and children. All the Vedic sacrifices performed from time immemorial up to the present day have not given you as much satisfaction. So literally, Brahma is telling that nobody can satisfy you the way Vrajvasis have satisfied you. I may be Brahma, there may be so many other demigods, we may have done so many sacrifices, But all the sacrifices put together, not from now, but since time immemorial, since the time creation has happened, has not satisfied you as much as these Vrajvasis have satisfied you by offering you their milk in the form of mothers, in the form of cows. And finally, I would like to, there are other aspects to discuss, but I would like to conclude today's discussion by going to the verse 34 of this chapter, where Lord Brahma is expressing another desire. My greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth, whatever, in this forest of Gokul. First he said that somehow I want to be counted as one of your devotees. But then seeing the opportunity, or in the presence of Krishna, being in the humble environment of, in the glorious environment of Vrindavan, he expresses another desire. My greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth, whatever, in this forest of Gokul, and have my head bathed by the dust falling from the lotus feet of any of its residents. Their entire life and soul is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, the dust of whose lotus feet is still being searched for in the Vedic mantras. So by this prayer, again, Lord Brahma has taught us a lesson that how one should hanker to get the dust of the lotus feet of devotees, to follow the instructions which are coming from the devotees. How one should aspire to become a follower of the devotees. How one should aspire to serve Krishna following in the footsteps of the devotees. How one should aspire to please one of the devotees of Krishna, and then in that way one should aspire to please Krishna. He has especially mentioned the area of Gokul and Vrindavan in these prayers. So in the Nectar of Devotion also, it says that one has to practice devotional service. I don't remember the exact words which Prabhupada writes, but the summary is that one has to practice devotional service following in the footsteps of a resident of Vrindavan. Now Vrindavan is a state of consciousness. Srila Prabhupada had Vrindavan always in his heart. Not only he was physically a resident of Vrindavan, but he was actually always hankering for Vrindavan. In many lectures he has told this. So whatever instructions which he has given to us, if we follow, we are actually following in the footsteps of a true resident of Vrindavan. So the aspiration which Lord Brahma is having, we can also develop the same aspiration. The fortune which Lord Brahma is aspiring to have, we can also get the same fortune simply by following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. So on that note, I would like to conclude today's discussion with another note that Brahma was not sure whether he was forgiven by Krishna or not. So he had to take shelter of another more merciful form of Lord Krishna. So he went to a place called Antardvip in Navadvip Dham, and there he prayed to Lord Krishna and got darshan of his most munificent form, that is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lesson learned from this is that when you do not get mercy from Krishna, Lord Chaitanya ensures that you will get mercy of Krishna. And then Brahma expressed that it's been 50 years as Brahma, but still, some offenses are happening. Can you give me one Ramban Ilaj so that at least for the next 50 years I will not make any offenses? And then Lord Chaitanya makes a very nice plan. He says that you please take birth as Haridas Thakur, take birth in a Mohammedan family outside the realm of Vedic culture, so that you may always remain humble. And he said that you will chant 3 lakh times my names every day. So the lesson learned from there is that the cure of all offenses is incessant chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.